Have you ever wanted something so badly that you thought, if only I could have that, I would be the happiest person in the world? Maybe it was a new phone, a car, a house, or some other dream. Then you finally got it. For a few hours or maybe a few days, you felt excited. But before long, the feeling faded and your heart started searching for something else. So what truly brings happiness? This is the story of a poor shoemaker who discovered an answer that changed not only his life, but also the life of a wealthy businessman. In a small town, there lived a shoemaker named Samuel. His shop was tiny. The wooden sign above the door was old and faded. Every morning, Samuel sat on a small stool repairing worn-out shoes and boots. He earned very little money. Some weeks were better than others, but most of the time he earned just enough to buy food for his family and once in a while a new piece of clothing. Yet anyone passing by his shop would hear something unusual. Samuel was always singing. As he stitched leather and polished shoes, cheerful songs flowed from his lips. His voice wasn't perfect, but it was full of joy. People often smiled when they heard him. Samuel loved his work. He had a wife named Martha and 2 young children. Their home was simple. The roof leaked when it rained and the furniture was old. But every evening, laughter filled the house. The family ate together, they shared stories, they played games. And before going to sleep, they thanked God for another day together. They didn't have much, but they loved one another deeply. And somehow that seemed to be enough. One afternoon, a wealthy businessman walked into Samuel's shop. The man wore an expensive suit and shiny shoes that probably cost more than Samuel earned in several weeks. As he entered, he heard Samuel singing happily while repairing a boot. The businessman frowned. He stood quietly for a moment and listened. Finally, he asked, "Why are you singing?" Samuel looked up and smiled. "Because it's a beautiful day." The businessman raised an eyebrow. "A beautiful day? You're repairing old shoes in a tiny shop." Samuel laughed. "That's true. But I have work to do, food on my table, and a family waiting for me at home. Why shouldn't I sing?" The businessman shook his head. "You can't honestly be happy." "Why not?" Samuel asked. "Because you're poor." Samuel smiled again. "I may not have much money, but I have enough." The businessman crossed his arms. "No, you're fooling yourself. Happiness comes from security, comfort, and wealth." Samuel politely disagreed. The businessman became determined to prove his point. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a crisp $100 bill. To Samuel, it looked like a fortune. The businessman placed it on the workbench. "Take it." Samuel stared at the money. "For me?" "Yes," said the businessman. "Keep it. Spend it however you like. Then you'll understand what real happiness feels like." Samuel hesitated. "I can't accept." "Take it," the businessman insisted. Then he smiled confidently. "When I come back, you'll admit that I was right." And with that, he left. Samuel stared at the money, $100, more money than he had ever held at one time. At first, excitement rushed through him. He imagined taking his family to the zoo. His children had always wanted to see the lions and elephants. Then he thought about Martha's old coat. Winter was coming and she needed a new one. Then he thought about buying delicious food, then about repairing the leaking roof, then about school supplies for his son, then back to the zoo. His thoughts raced in every direction. For the first time that day, Samuel stopped singing. As the afternoon continued, something strange happened. The money that had first brought excitement began to bring worry. What if someone stole it? What if he lost it? Should he hide it? Should he spend it immediately? What was the best choice? The more he thought, the more anxious he became. His work felt heavier. His mind felt crowded. The songs disappeared. Customers noticed he was unusually quiet. That evening, Samuel returned home. His children ran to greet him. Normally, he would laugh and play with them immediately. But instead, he sat down at the table and pulled out the money. Martha's eyes widened. "Where did that come from?" Samuel explained everything. At first, Martha was thrilled. $100. She immediately started making plans. "We can repair the roof, can buy new clothes, can save some, can buy better furniture." Samuel had different ideas. "The children want to visit the zoo. The roof is more important. What about school supplies? What about saving it?" Back and forth they went. Soon the discussion became an argument. Voices grew louder. The children sat silently in the corner. The happy atmosphere that usually filled the home vanished. That night, neither Samuel nor Martha could sleep. Samuel kept imagining thieves breaking into the house. He got up several times to check where the money was hidden. Martha stared at the ceiling, thinking about all the things they could buy. Hours passed. The money sat quietly in the room, yet it seemed to steal all their peace. The next morning, Samuel sat at the table looking tired. Martha joined him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Martha gently said, "Samuel, may I tell you something?" "Of course." She looked at the money. "Yesterday, before that businessman came, we were happy." Samuel nodded. "We had little," she continued, "but our hearts were peaceful." Again he nodded. "Then this money arrived." She paused. "And suddenly we became worried, fearful, and divided." Samuel looked down. She continued, "Money is useful. It can buy food, clothes, and shelter. It can solve certain problems." "That's true," Samuel said. "But money cannot buy contentment." Samuel listened carefully. "It can make us feel secure," she said, "yet it can also make us afraid of losing what we have. It can buy a larger house but not a loving home, can buy medicine but not health, can buy entertainment but not joy, can buy a soft bed but not peaceful sleep." Samuel remained silent. Martha smiled gently. "Yesterday we had less money but more happiness." The word struck his heart. She continued, "We were rich in the things that matter most: love, gratitude, family, and peace." A tear formed in Samuel's eye. Then Martha said something he would never forget. "Money is a wonderful servant but a terrible master." Room became quiet. Finally she added, "When that businessman returns, give the money back." Samuel felt a strange sense of relief. Almost instantly, a weight lifted from his shoulders. For the first time since receiving the money, he smiled. "I think you're right." That day Samuel sang again while repairing shoes. The familiar joy returned. His heart felt light, his work felt meaningful, and he eagerly waited for the businessman to return. Late that afternoon, the businessman entered the shop. He expected to find a happier Samuel. Instead, he found something even more surprising. Samuel handed him the $100 bill. The businessman stared at it. "What is this?" "Your money." "You don't want it." Samuel shook his head. The businessman was shocked. "Why would anyone return free money?" Samuel smiled. "Because it cost me more than it was worth." The businessman looked confused. Samuel then told him everything: how he had stopped singing, how he had become anxious, how he had worried about losing the money, how he and his wife had argued, how neither of them could sleep. Then he shared Martha's wisdom. "Money can buy many things," Samuel said, "but it cannot buy the most valuable treasures." The businessman listened silently. Samuel continued, "My greatest wealth was already waiting for me at home: my wife's love, my children's laughter, peaceful heart, gratitude for what I have. Years I thought I was poor because I had little money. Yesterday I discovered that I am actually rich." The businessman said nothing. Samuel handed him the bill again. "I'd rather keep my songs." Slowly the businessman accepted the money. That evening he returned to his large mansion. The rooms were beautiful, the furniture was expensive. The walls were decorated with priceless artwork. Yet for the first time he noticed how quiet the house felt, how empty, how lonely. He sat alone and thought about Samuel, a poor shoemaker with a leaking roof, a man who sang while working, a man who possessed something money could not buy: peace, contentment, joy. The businessman spent much of the night reflecting on his own life. And for the first time in many years, he wondered whether he had been chasing the wrong treasure all along. Moral of the story: money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy happiness. It can buy a house, but not a loving family. It can buy luxury, but not peace of mind. True happiness is found in gratitude, meaningful work, loving relationships, and a heart that is content with what it has. The richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least to be happy.